Hello, my name is Bradley and I'm your host of The Internal Game. Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be bossing up and taking it to another level. Now, how do we do this? We stop playing small. And how do we stop playing small? We stop believing that we're small, okay? Because how are you going to take your life experience here to another level if you're playing small and continuously playing small, right? Now, what is playing small? It is being reactive, being judgmental. It is being hurt, being a victim. It is being the little me. Okay? The little me. The little me. The separate one. That's these things are just happening to, right? Being offended, right? And like my man's Eckhart said, if small things have the power to disturb you, then who you think you are is exactly that, small. Who you think you are is exactly that, small. Who you think you are is exactly that, small. Okay? So he's not shaming you or degrading you and saying you're just small, but he is saying that this is what you're identified with, this little me. Okay? Don't let manifestation content and people telling you that you're God confuse you into you believing that you're God. It will never be something that you believe. Okay? It'll be something that you know. And the mind can't conceptualize God. The mind can't comprehend God. The mind can barely do one thing at a time. Is it going to understand everything everywhere all at once? Okay, so this is the unmanifested, right? God, uh, consciousness, the all, right? So if we're saying that we're God, and we're like, no, I'm God, and we're still being offended, and we're still being victims, and we're still pointing fingers and saying, I'm not where I want to be because of this, and this person's doing that. So as long as they're doing this, I can't access certain states of being, and my state of being is dependent on a person doing something or not doing something. And oh my gosh, I need things to be different for me to feel better. And we're taking offense. We're being the little me, right? And so you're probably finding some contradiction internally, but by saying I'm God, but being small. So how do we stop being small? What's up, baby? How do we stop being small? Well, we bring some awareness to this. Because again, this is no judgment to you if you've been reactive or judgmental or anything like this. But I'm saying that let's bring some awareness to this because our reactions let us know what we're identified with. And if small things have the power to disturb us, then this lets us know that who we think we are is exactly that, small. And so we want to bring some awareness to our triggers, our reactions, our mind patterns of judgment and chaos and causing issues for ourselves and blaming others and seeing ourselves as separate, things like this. Right? So the mind itself, the identification of mind, is always going to see something as separate. It's rooted in separateness. It's how it exists. It's separate and it's rooted in separateness and lack and fear, really. But we want to bring awareness to these triggers and these thought patterns and just not entertain it, not get caught up in story, not get caught up in being pulled unconsciously to react and to blame and to be victims and be the little me that's just hurt. Okay? So in the moment where life exists, in the moment where life is operating, in the moment where change is actually made, in the moment right now, okay, we're going to see this. We're going to bring some awareness to these feelings. And you feel triggered and you feel that emotion come up and you're like, oh, I just want to just nope. And breathe into it. If you start to get caught back up in the mind, you catch it, bring it back down to the inner body, focus on your breathing, and you do this over and over and over again. You do this one, and maybe you're not fully triggered. Maybe you're just having some mental argument or mental conversation with somebody or about somebody or about something, complaining in the head, right? Making yourself a victim, and stopping, just stopping, right? Recognizing like, oh, wow, caught up in thought right now. Pretty separate stuff. I am being real judgmental. It's being small. That's not me. That's not me. And you bring it back to now. You put gaps in these patterns until they weaken and they lose their grip. Okay, it's so simple. The solution to this stuff. Bring it back to now. Disidentify. Everything out there is because you've been identified with something. You believe something to be true. You focus on it. You're like, and the mind loves these kind of problems and being a victim and being separate, right? So like when you start to disidentify these things, they stop showing up. Maybe not initially at first because of like an interference pattern, but nonetheless, it's going to because you're no longer giving it life. And if you do catch yourself complaining internally, my man's Eckhart has another little, I guess, a little question you could ask yourself, or something to go over in the mind. He says, when you complain, you make yourself a victim, which is playing small. Okay, this is not taking it to a how, not the level. This is saying, no, I choose to be small, but I'm God, and I should be getting things like this, and things shouldn't be this way, and I don't like it. Right now, this is playing small. We have three choices. You speak up. You're having an issue with somebody in your head, or in the house, or at school, or at work. Speak up. Right? Don't let manifestation content make you think you got to do everything in silence and go over here. No, I'm just going to play this in my, like, just go live life. Go speak up. If there's an issue, speak up. Speak up. Your second option is to leave. Okay? If you find yourself in a situation that's intolerable, then you can leave. You can just leave. Right? If you really don't want problems, right? Because you're saying you want peace. I'm assuming I want peace. If this person would just stop doing this. If this work would stop being like this, it's causing me to be this way. But just leave. If you choose your peace, right? So speak out, leave, or accept. Accept. Now, acceptance does not mean that it's your first choice, but it does mean you stop resisting. It does mean you stop opposing. And when you do this, you'll notice that life starts working with you when you just start accepting things. Like, hey, there's no reason to resist something that's already here, already created, already happening right now. And actually, when you offer no resistance to it and accept it, it can actually move on its way. Remember, I'm unmoved by circumstances, therefore circumstances move. But what kind of person is going to be unmoved by circumstances? Someone that is not playing small. Someone that is not believing they are small. Okay? So you have three choices in any scenario. Instead of making yourself a victim by complaining and resisting and playing small, you can either speak out, ask for change, ask for something different, right? You can leave, like you're like, oh, what? But Bradley, it's my job. It's okay. Well, then, looks like you can either speak out or accept, or you can leave. Like, well, that's my money. It's okay. Cool, I get that. But if you're there, don't make yourself a victim. You're not small. Okay. Now, or you accept. Right? Okay, this is how it is for now. And you'll notice that all of these bring you out of victimhood, especially acceptance. So, but what he's trying to say is that, like, when you complain, you make yourself into a victim. You play small, like, and he was like, if you don't do these three things, then all else is madness. What are you going to do? Just sit there at a job that you're already going to be at for 8 hours and just complain internally the whole time, expecting something to change? No, that's the mind-made little me, like causing a bunch of inner conflict with yourself, like bringing forth more experiences like this to yourself, and then in the same sentence saying, "I'm God, I just want peace." Let's take a look at the stuff, people. SP stuff. When you complain, you make yourself a victim. They're not doing what I want them to do, but I need them to do this, so nope. That's victim stuff. That's dependent stuff. That's saying my state of being is dependent on them doing something or not doing something. And then in the same sentence saying, "But I'm God," like, no, this is playing small. I think at a certain point we got to start looking at like what we're actually doing, like how we're actually being moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. The trickiest part is that we're doing this stuff. And we're like, okay, I believe in this stuff. So we watch a video, we're like, got it, getting in the state, and then we go back to doing the shit we were doing. Like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, the hardest part about change is doing something different than the day before. Doing something different than you've always done. If you've always been a victim, you got to do something different. If you've always been complaining in the head and you're wanting a different life and things to change, you have to do something different. You have to be different. Like, no amount of watching videos is going to do this stuff for you. I can assure you of this. No amount of reading books is going to do this stuff for you. I can assure you of this. Stop playing small. Find out what it is that you actually are. You ever thought about that? Like, there's got to be maybe a little bit more to this experience than. I'm not saying don't be human. That's kind of, I do believe we came here to do that. I've been making. You saw the last video, but I'm saying, you ever thought that there's more than just like chasing and getting somebody to be different so you can feel different and getting that next thing so you finally feel all right? Like, you ever think about that? Can you be non-reactive? I'm not saying it's not challenging, but like, really ask yourself, if you're watching YouTube videos about reality stuff and how reality works and SPs and people are in response to my state of being, and then you're complaining in the head and being judgmental all day long, or at least most of the day, or any part of the day, and not catching it, like, and thinking that's like, how is this not playing small? Like, if how is this in alignment with how you think things work? Or are you being disillusioned because we're watching a video and we're like, okay, I'm doing something. I hear this all the time, guys. I hear this all the time. I've been doing this for so long. I've known about manifesting for so long. Okay, I've known about a lot of for a long time. Nothing changes till you start being different. I don't care how many videos you watch. I don't care if you've watched every single one of them on the internet. I don't care if you've known every person that's ever talked about stuff like this. I don't care. Nothing is going. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing that stuff. It matters when you start being different. And in my realm, my stadium over here, it's about letting go of what you're not, so you can actually be what you are. You believe you're small, so you act this way. You can't act greater than your level of consciousness. So if you're acting, or if you're reacting and acting hurt and feeling hurt and pointing fingers and walking around as a little me, you believe you are small. And you're not this. You are not this. So you have to come in with some awareness and stop doing this. Like Ram Dass says, like, no one's going to take your suffering away from you. You can do it as long as you want to. But please, look at it. Look at how you've actually been being, and stop disillusioning yourself and thinking that just because you've been watching content for a little while or read some damn books that, like, everything should just be perfect now. No, you got to stop. You got to give it up, homies and homegirls, dudes and dudettes. I love you. Okay? Get in touch with what it is that you actually are. Spend more time in the inner body, breathing or looking around, appreciating some shit. More time than watching videos and trying to make something happen and affirm. And how do I program this? How do I do that? Do this kind of stuff and watch what happens. Watch you disidentify. Watch you disidentify from all the stuff that you were identified with, and watch it change without one affirmation being said. If you really, really, really want to take it to a whole another level, then you got to stop doing what you're doing that's keeping you on the same level. I feel like a pastor right now. All right, guys. Anyway, that's enough pump up for the day. I love you guys. Practice non-reactivity. And by the way, just so we're clear, non-reactivity does not mean suppression of emotion. It means to actually feel it and get out of story as much as possible. Not to identify with it. Feel the emotion. That doesn't mean you're reacting if you're triggered, right? Like if you're actually feeling emotion. No, it's the story. It's the latching onto a mental position about something. It's the identifying with the little me and thinking, man, I can't believe that person did that. No, these are your emotions. So feel them. Be non-reactive. Let it go. Right? Be unmoved. But you only do this when you're actually ready to take it to a whole another level, when you're actually ready to stop playing small. Please do not disillusion yourself that because you've been watching content for a while that it matters. Like it doesn't in the grand scheme. Like, I mean, I'm sure that, do I believe that eventually, like, something kind of clicks, you're like, okay, that makes a little bit more sense, whether I say it or someone else says it. Yeah, you hear that stuff. But ultimately, you have to do this. Or you don't have to, and you continue doing what you're doing. But don't disillusion yourself. Bring it back to the now. Bring it back to some awareness. Like, this is where it's at. I think that's all I got. Love you guys. See you soon.